don't you take it away?
Sounds good. Thanks. Hey, Jordyn.
Hi.
Hi. Can you maybe talk us through what preseason practices look like, how healthy you guys are heading into the opener?
Yeah. Gosh, preseason really flew by, but it's been a really great preseason nonetheless. I mean, this is the most, I feel like I might say this every year, but this is the most fired up and goal oriented I've seen our program since I've been here. We've had great training. The team has worked really hard. The one standout element that I've seen from the team is grit. And that's actually one of their themes this year. As a team, they came up with that, but I've seen it every day. They're mentally and physically tougher this year, which has made training a lot better. It's allowed them to push themselves a little bit harder. And, a lot of our athletes that were out with some injuries last year are back and ready to compete, which is fantastic. We are, for the most part, pretty healthy as a gymnastics team can be. And this is probably the most depth we've had in a while as well. So we've got a lot of athletes ready on a lot of events. So we'll be playing with the lineups quite a bit throughout the season, just trying to figure out who are those core six on every event. Relieving some of our all-arounders every now and then when we can, just to help them last till the postseason so they can be at their best when it matters the most. And we're just excited to get going. We're kind of in that mode right now of like, okay, let us compete, let us go, after a really successful Gymbacks preview a few weeks ago. So team's looking good. I'm excited. And I think this is going to be a fantastic season for us.
Okay. And then just real quick, how can Kennedy be better? And what have you seen from her? How important is it for her to be back with your team? And then the last we heard, law school Bailey, we were unsure how much she'd be able to contribute. So what's her status?
Yeah, so we actually just got all of her grades back from the fall semester. That was one of those things where we didn't really know how law school and gymnastics were going to mesh because nobody's ever done it before here or anywhere, I think. I'm not really sure. But she handled it really, really well. She did very fantastic in all of her classes. She's eligible to compete. We adjusted her training schedule pretty significantly in the fall. She didn't train as much as the other athletes. She had to come in early, leave early, and be a law student for majority of the day. But she's done a great job handling not just the stress, but the workload. Law school is grueling and there's a lot of work. So I'm really proud of her. We anticipate her to be a player on beam and floor, just as she was last year. And, we at this point pretty much know what we can get out of Bailey on those two events. She's a 995 potential athlete on those two. So I'm excited to get her out there competing. Hopefully she can manage the second semester just as well as she did the first with competition and all that. And then Kennedy, obviously we were thrilled to have her back for her 5th year. She's looking exactly how Kennedy Hambrick usually looks on bars and beam. She has struggled with floor and vault a little bit in this preseason. Things have just been a little bit off with those leg events. So we're working through some issues and figuring them out. She's working hard. She's feeling really healthy, and that's what's really positive. So we're staying focused on getting her ready on floor and vault as well. And hopefully we can see her in those lineups in the postseason.
Jacob, why don't you go ahead?
Jordyn, I'm sure you could have had a bunch of programs come to you guys this weekend, but when you were putting the schedule together, why did you feel it was important for your team to start on the road?
Mm-hmm. Well, every year we try to kind of balance out the schedule with home and away meets. We obviously want to get those core 5 home meets, but it's almost just as important for us to have those road scores for our NQS. And, Nebraska is a great place for us to travel to. It's not too far as a flight, and they're a good team. So I think it'll be a good test for our team. Nebraska's a team we probably should be beating at this point, but we need to go in and do our job nonetheless. And so, my message to the team this weekend is going to be, don't try to be perfect, but we need to start strong. We need to look like ourselves out there and just be confident in the training that they've put in up until this point. So looking forward to going to Nebraska. And yeah, I think just as far as scheduling, we try to keep it competitive. I think they ranked on some website the strength of all the gymnastics schedules, and we were right there at the top, #1 hardest schedule out of all the teams, which that wasn't intentional. It's just being in the SEC, it's already going to be tough, but the postseason is tough as well. So if anything, it's going to make us more competitive, more prepared, and we need to be ready for this weekend.
And then just what's it been like having Nora around off season, preseason? How has she meshed with the culture you guys have created?
I mean, I can't say enough positive things about Nora. She, from day one has come in and she's been a very intentional leader for this program. She didn't want to come in and start bossing everybody around saying, hey, I'm an All-American. This is what we do. She stepped back and really listened and observed and looked for places that she felt like she could lead this team. And not only that, but help all the other girls in the team become strong leaders as well. So I've seen that. She's had an incredible effect on this program, both competitively and with her leadership. She is just a role model in every sense of the word. And she's consistent with her attitude and her work ethic. And I'm excited to see all that she can do with her last year of gymnastics. We won't see Nora in the all around this weekend. We're going to have her compete 3 events. We're going to bring her back into the floor. We're bringing her into the floor lineup next weekend. We're really going to focus on managing her health because, like I keep saying, the goal is to be our strongest in the postseason. So we're not going to push her too hard too early. And allow some other ones to get some experience out there. But Nora's doing great. She's feeling great. And I'm excited to see how she represents Arkansas this year.
And then just real quick, you mentioned you guys are healthy. So Cammie is 100% cleared, 100% good?
She is. And
Awesome.
she should be, if everything continues to go as planned, she should be on 2 events this weekend on vault and beam, which were those 2 events that we really missed her on last year. She's doing great. She's just so enthusiastic about her comeback. She's done everything exactly the way she needed to do it to be able to have this comeback be strong. So I'm really proud of her. I'm excited to see her shine.
Thanks, Jordyn.
Claire, we'll turn it over to you.
Hi. Are there any upgrades or surprises we should keep an eye out for this week, or not just this week, but this season?
Gosh, let me see. We've made some small skill tweaks here and there. I would say the biggest standout is just when you see our floor lineup from week to week, we've got incredible amounts of difficulty. Obviously, Bailey with her sky high double layout. Nora's going to compete 2 E-level passes, a triple full and a front double full. But then we've got Lauren Williams with another sky high full in. We've got Frankie Price, who's back from injury with one of the best double layouts I've ever seen. And then Maddie Jones with her front double full. So a lot of E skills on floor, which I think says a lot about just the direction this program is going. The quality is getting higher and the difficulty is getting higher. Let's see what else. For the most part, I think, bars is staying the same. We always have those strong 10-0 start value routines. On vault, that's one of those events where we've got a few that have Yurchenko 1.5s, and we're going to be really smart, really intelligent about when we compete those to make sure that they're ready, they're confident. There are times when you can push to compete a Yurchenko 1.5, but a clean full sometimes might score the same. So even though it's a 1/2 lower in start values, we're going to be really smart about not pushing those too early. But hopefully bringing them in by the postseason with Mackie Sedlacek. Lauren Williams will compete her 1.5 on vault this weekend. Kennedy obviously has a 1.5. So a few that are players over there that you might not see in the beginning, but we may see towards the end of the season.
Right.
And then Bailey upgraded her beam dismount just because we had some rule changes in the code of points. So anybody that did a side aerial with a full dismount had to change it. So she does a really awesome gainer tucked full, which is exciting, right at the end of the routine. So that was one of the major upgrades on beam.
Excellent. You talked about floor, and obviously you guys have some wonderful new coaches to your staff this season. Excuse me. What have been some of the ways they've contributed to the overall training, choreography, conditioning?
Yeah, well, obviously we elevated Kyla Ross to assistant coach. She has continued to coach beam. She's also coaching bars a little bit as well, because we have Chris coaching on vault and bars. So when he is over coaching vault, Kyla steps over to bars, which is fantastic because we kind of sat down as a coaching staff and thought about what their strengths were. Chris, obviously huge technical huge amounts of technical knowledge. Growing up, he had Russian coaches, so he has one point of view, and Kyla growing up had Chinese coaches. So they both learned skills a lot differently, which only adds value to them as coaches over on bars. So we kind of have both of them coaching bars for that reason. There's a wealth of knowledge there between the two of them. And then we've got Jackie Turpak, who's our volunteer coach this year. She took over all things choreography and music. I'm really excited for everyone to see the new floor routines. I love them. The music is really fun. They're really unique. And we've challenged the team to really step up performance quality this year. We're going to continue to challenge them as the season goes on, keep tweaking and cleaning things as they need to be cleaned. But I'm excited. She's got a brilliant mind when it comes to that creative choreography stuff. And so I'm excited to see the floor routines out there.
Great. Thank you so much.
Not sure who we have in here from Pig Trail, but you guys can go now.
Hey, Jordyn, just as you talk about elevating this program, bringing in the freshmen that you've brought in, I know that you're really excited about that recruiting class. So how have they adjusted to the collegiate level and performing at the level you want them to perform at? And then have you been just impressed with how they've handled themselves?
Yeah, no, that's exactly spot on. I've been incredibly impressed with our freshman class, and you never quite know how freshmen are going to adjust to all of the newness that goes along with being a freshman, with school and being away from home. And then you add on training onto that. So I've been really impressed with this group in particular, and they've had a really smooth transition. We will see a lot of freshman competitors out there, and my goal is just to get them out there, get them some experience. It may not be perfect on that first weekend, but that's part of the process. We need to get them out there and get them used to what that feels like. So we will see a lot of freshmen competing. Lauren Williams, our local girl from Rogers, she's planning to compete 3 events this weekend, and we've got a couple other superstars that just have exceptional lines and talent on bars to replace some of those big players we had last year that graduated, Maggie O'Hara and Sarah Schaefer. So we'll see them as well. Callie Sweeney is another one who I'm really excited to see. She's got potential to compete on all 4 events. It's just going to be a matter of who we're resting and what event she's going to step in on. We'll for sure see her on bars this weekend, maybe one other event. So just nothing but impressed with the freshmen. They have continued to just be excited about every challenge. It's definitely rubbing off on the older ones who may be a little more tired and are used to the rhythm of the season. A couple times this preseason, one of the freshmen we would do a really hard conditioning set, and she would just go, "Wow, that was really fun." And the other ones go, "Okay, well, maybe it was kind of fun." And it's really rubbed off on the whole team. So they're so enthusiastic. It's been really fun as coaches this year to see that new level of just joy and excitement for what they're doing.
Thank you.
All right, Sierra, you can go next.
Hi, Jordyn. So 2 meets this year at Bud Walton Arena. I believe last year was the first time you guys had a meet there, period. So what kind of role maybe did you play in that, and how excited are you for those 2 meets?
Yeah, well, obviously, Barnhill Arena is incredibly historic. We love competing in Barnhill. That is our home. But from the moment I stepped on campus, one of my goals was to be able to host a meet in Bud Walton. And we talked about it a lot, had some conversations. It got a little bit on hold when COVID became an issue. And finally last year, we got the go ahead and worked around the basketball, women's and men's basketball schedules, found a great weekend to do it. And it was an incredible success. We packed that place with 10,000 fans. We had a great competition versus Auburn. And then at the end of the year, having some conversations with Hunter and talking with him, he really, and him and I both see that as kind of the future for our program, being able to compete there full time. Obviously, we got to work our way there. So this year we're going to do 2 meets and hopefully we can have a similar showing as far as fans and excitement and go in there and have some great competitions versus Florida and as well as Minnesota for the senior meet. So I'm excited. What an incredible opportunity for our student athletes to be able to do that for the first time in Arkansas gymnastics history and to pave the way for the future of this program and hopefully being over there full time someday.
Thank you.
Christy, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, Jordyn, you talked about the energy and joy in the gym that you're seeing and experiencing. Are there 2 or 3 other things you can identify about this group in particular that seem different this year, that are setting this group apart? And what do you think accounts for that?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the words that kept coming up through the preseason was grit. And our team took that word and broke it down and figured out what they wanted to exemplify as a team, and they made the acronym GRIT, and it stands for greatness, resilience, intentional, and toughness. And I think that gives you a good idea of kind of where they're at mentally. And I think, you know, I credit Nora for a lot of that part of our culture, because she came in and said, you know what, she's such a gritty competitor. She wants to go out and you put her under the highest amounts of pressure and she's going to succeed. And I think she wants that to rub off on our team. And that's one thing that as a coaching staff, we talked about wanting to improve on from last year, is being able to handle that pressure and be more consistent and you know, not have to have those meets where we always have one event that doesn't go well, but be a team that's putting together 4 events every weekend. So they've gotten really gritty. They've attacked challenges with a really great attitude and have kept continuing to repeat to themselves, like, things that are hard are not always bad. Things that are hard make us stronger and tougher mentally and physically. So they've really taken that on this year. I'm really proud of that. And I have no doubt that grittiness is going to show up on the competition floor.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have any other questions for Coach Wieber? If so, you can just chime in.
Yeah, we've seen the SEC hierarchy kind of get turned on its head in the last several seasons. You know, you've got, as you said, one of the healthiest and deepest rosters you've had in a long time. How do you think Arkansas is going to fit into that hierarchy this year?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, our conference is so competitive. You never know. It could be anybody's night. You know, Missouri's done a great job, you know, making nationals last year. Auburn's looking great, and just it could be anybody's opportunity this year. And I really feel like if we do what we're capable of, you know, we will be at that night session of SECs again. That's our goal. That's where we see ourselves being. Obviously, we've got to go out there and show it on the competition floor, and continue to prove week after week that we earned that spot. So we're going to be shooting towards that. And, you know, if we're in that night session, I think it's anybody's championship. And as long as we do our job and show up, I think anything is possible.
Great. Thank you.
Hey, Jordyn, who you expect to compete in all around this weekend?
You know, I don't know that we'll have anyone competing in the all around this weekend, actually. Like I said, Nora won't be doing floor. Kennedy won't be on floor and vault, but, you know, this is going to be a little bit of a different year. We actually may rely less on all arounders than in the past, because we do have a healthier team and we've got a lot of athletes that are exceptionally great on 2 or 3 events. And so, you know, when we're putting together lineups, we don't necessarily focus on all arounders. We just focus on who's our top 6 and how are we going to maximize our team score by having our top 6 athletes on every event. So I don't think this weekend we'll have anyone competing in the all around.
Okay. And how will Leah Smith be better this season?
You know, Leah's been looking really strong on floor and vault. She had to learn a new beam dismount so we can be more consistent with the landing there. So that's kind of the last piece that's coming together, but she's getting very close on that event. Bars she struggled with a little bit, but it's coming together. She actually tore her UCL and her thumb over the summer, so she was a little bit behind on that event, but we fully expect her to be back on all 4 events, kind of probably in the next couple of weeks. So she may be one that we see in the all around at some point during the season, maybe not consistently, but you know, Leah, I'm really just excited because she got to compete a lot last year. She got some great experience learning how to handle that pressure and get out there and compete. So hopefully we can carry that experience into this year and rely on her whenever we need to.
Any more questions for Coach?
Hey, Jordyn, Jason, Arkansas Traveler. Just talk about a little bit about the type of recruits that you have coming in this year versus maybe when you first took the job at Arkansas.
Yeah, well, you mean the freshmen or the?
Yes, the incoming freshmen this year versus the first year that you took over the program.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously when you take over a new program, with gymnastics, we recruit a couple of years out in advance. So, this is really the first full class that was entirely recruited by our staff. And I think, that's really exciting. We've elevated the level of recruits every single year. So I think you'll see that in the performances, and I'm excited to see how the freshmen kind of get that experience and go out there and perform.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any more questions? All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We really appreciate it. Hope for the ones that are around, we'll get to see you at Barnhill and Bud this season. And we will see you all later. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.